All right, well, for more on this, I want to bring in Doris Reisinger. She is a former nun and has herself suffered sexual abuse by a priest. And today she is a Catholic theologian and author and has published a book about her experiences. A very warm welcome. You're joining us from the German city of Freiburg. What do you make of the Pope publicly acknowledging that sexual abuse of nuns took place within the Church?
Well, on the one hand, it's definitely a relief. It's a milestone because it's the first time ever a Pope has admitted these cases exist. And I think I'm relieved that this has happened. On the other hand, it's I'm wondering, you know, when the Pope is speaking about what he has done so far, I'm really wondering what has he done, because I know many of those cases and I don't know any case where somebody would really have stepped in and perpetrators would have gotten sanctions. So I'm wondering, and also to the as to the amount, you know, these cases have been known for over 2 decades now, and they have been known publicly at least since 2001, when reports by Maura O'Donoghue have been leaked by the New York Times. And back then, there was no statement, no reaction from the Church.
So today, after what you've seen and what you've just detailed as well, how much faith do you have in the Church that they will now punish and fight sexual abuse within the Church?
I'm afraid I do not believe they will take any proper sanctions or any proper reaction now to these cases. The Church only ever admits what it can no longer deny, but I don't have any hope that proper reactions are being taken now.
Now, you wrote a book detailing your painful experiences. May I ask you to share with us some of what has happened to you?
Well, you know, I don't like to speak about it, actually. I entered the convent when I was 19 years old in 2003. And first I experienced spiritual abuse, various forms of, you know, I was not allowed to read books, I was not allowed to go out, I was not allowed to contact my parents when I wished. And I had to do very simple work, you know, like cleaning and cooking all day long. And that was very hard for me. And in the end, you know, 5 years after I had been treated like this, there was a priest of the community who came into my room and raped me. And still, it took me 3 more years to leave that community. And after that, when I wrote my book, I was contacted by other women who told me their stories. And I did research. Being a theologian, I did research on this. And I found a study that was carried out in the 1990s in the USA by 3 researchers named Chibnall, Duckrow, and Wolf. And they asked women from 3 different communities in the United States and found out that approximately 40% of them had experienced various forms of sexual abuse. And I was so shocked when I found that out. And then I found the reports by Maura O'Donoghue and others who reported cases in 23 countries, from Brazil over Ireland, African countries, to the Philippines, where sisters had been sexually abused by priests, by bishops, had been forced to have abortions, had been thrown out of their convents, even sisters having died through abortions. And I was so shocked on this, especially because it was all known to the Vatican already in the 1990s, and it was known publicly at least since 2001. And nothing ever happened. And I'm really skeptical whether anything is going to happen now, but at least a Pope has admitted these cases exist.
How difficult is it, after all that you just shared with us, is it to speak out about this issue?
I would say for many nuns, it is next to impossible to ever speak about these cases because they are so dependent on the system. They are so dependent financially, There are nuns who cannot leave their convents because they are financially dependent. They cannot build up a life of their own, on their own. And then they are also spiritually dependent on the convent. You know, their whole life, their whole idea of themselves, their vocation depends on the convent, on this religious system, and they have no means to create a different identity for themselves. And this is why they can't speak out, because usually inside the convents they don't have the support to report the perpetrators and to get justice done.
What would you ideally like to see happen now?
But I would ideally like to see that the perpetrators who are already known to the Vatican are being persecuted. I would like to see that the victims who are already now known to the Vatican get some kind of recompensation. And I would like that more research is being done, independent research all over the world on these cases.
How are you doing now?
Well, on the one hand, I'm happy these cases have come out and the Pope has admitted them, and there is much attention to these cases right now. On the other hand, I'm quite doubtful as to what is going to happen. But at least we're speaking about these cases, and I hope this helps more victims realize what has happened to them and come forward.
Doris Reisinger, thank you so very much for sharing your very deeply personal experiences with us. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.